What was the Champaran Satyagraha?
The Champaran Satyagraha of 1917 was a peasants' uprising led by Mahatma Gandhi in the Champaran district of Bihar. The farmers in the region revolted against the British power against the imposed indigo cultivation between 1914 and 1916. It was India's first civil disobedience movement launched by Mahatma Gandhi to protest against the injustice meted out to tenant farmers in the Champaran district of Bihar. Short notes on Rowlatt Act. Rowlatt Act was passed in March 1919 by the Imperial Legislative Council. This act authorized the British government to arrest anybody suspected of terrorist activities. It also authorized the government to detain such people arrested for up to 2 years without trial. It empowered the police to search for a place without a warrant.
The government could imprison people for 2 years without trial. No evidence was needed, which means even if the government just suspected that somebody was doing something against the government, they could directly lock away that person for 2 years. Obviously, this was not acceptable to the Indians in India. So on 6th April 1919, Gandhi called for a hartal. Hartal is a strike. So there were rallies in cities. Rallies are these processions and demonstrations. What did the people do? Workers went on strike, shops shut down, and the British administration was alarmed about the activity of railways and telegraph services. If people didn't show up to work, how could they run the railways? How could they run the telegraph services? And basically the British...
Short notes on martial law of 1919. Martial law was imposed in India during the command of General Dyer. On 13th April 1919, General Dyer signed the Martial Law Act, which stated that no more than 2 people might establish a group and congregate in one location. This law was passed to prohibit any organized opposition to the reigning powers. Short notes on Jallianwala Bagh tragedy.
On the 13th of April 1919, the infamous Jallianwala Bagh incident took place. On that day, a crowd of villagers who had come to Amritsar to attend a fair gathered in the enclosed ground of Jallianwala Bagh. Being from outside the city, they were unaware of the martial law that had been imposed. General Dyer entered the area, blocked the only exit point, and opened fire on the crowd, killing and wounding hundreds of people. As the news spread, crowds took to the streets. There were strikes, clashes with police and attacks on government buildings.
Unprecedented enthusiasm. It became a platform for voicing their anguish against the prevalent issues. Popular and beloved Gandhian leaders, Dr. Satyapal and Saifuddin Kichlu, led the Rowlatt Satyagraha here. At this time, the camaraderie between the Hindu-Muslim communities was at its peak, and the protest against the British government were a sight to behold. The British government foresaw the seeds of a large-scale organized movement in its unity and decided to end it at its nascent stage. The authorities deceitfully arrested and deported Dr. Satyapal and Dr. Kichlu. This infuriated the people of Amritsar. They took to the streets to protest against this unlawful detention, during which the police fired upon a peaceful procession, provoking attacks on railway stations, banks, and government offices by the protesters. Both sides suffered casualties and severe injuries. To crush the voices of Inqilab and terrorize people into submission, the British brought in Brigadier General Reginald Dyer. He imposed martial law and deployed airplanes to survey gatherings across the city. Martial law restricted civil liberties such as freedom of meetings and associations. Gatherings of more than 4 people were prohibited. Nearly 20,000 people gathered at Jallianwala Bagh to celebrate Baisakhi and to demand the release of Dr. Satyapal and Dr. Kichlu. That day, something happened that changed the course of our freedom struggle. The age-old walls of Jallianwala Bagh witnessed. Stop!
Short notes on Alluri Sita Ramaraju movement in Andhra Pradesh. Manyam, or the Rampa Rebellion, was a tribal revolt led by Alluri Sita Ramaraju in the Rampa regions of present-day Godavari district in Andhra Pradesh. The uprising was against the exploitative British policies and oppressive forest laws that threatened the lives of tribes in the region. Alluri Sitaram Raju claimed that he had a variety of special powers like making astrological predictions, healing people and surviving bullet shots too. The rebels proclaimed him as an incarnation of God. 3. Raju was inspired by Gandhiji's non-cooperation movement.
alluri సీతారామరాజు సంస్కృతం, జ్యోతిష్య శాస్త్రం, జాతక శాస్త్రం, విలువజ్జ, గుర్రపు స్వారీలో ప్రావీణ్యం పొందారు. 1917లో విశాఖపట్నం జిల్లా కృష్ణదేవిపేట ద్వారా మన్యంలోకి అడుగుపెట్టారు. మన్యం ప్రజల దీన స్థితిగతులను పరిశీలించి బ్రిటిష్ అధికారుల నిరంకుశ చర్యలకు వ్యతిరేకంగా విప్లవానికి సిద్ధం కావాలని మన్యం ప్రజలను పురుగొల్పారు. సీతారామరాజు ప్రధాన అనుచరుడు సేనాని గంటం దొర. ఈయనది నడింపాలెం గ్రామం. గంటం దొర మిగిలిన అనుచరుల సాయంతో బ్రిటిష్ అధికారులపై విప్లవానికి అల్లూరి తెరతీశారు. 1922 ఆగస్టు 22న చింతపల్లి పోలీస్ స్టేషన్పై తొలిసారి దాడి చేశారు. 23వ తేదీన కృష్ణదేవిపేట పోలీస్ స్టేషన్పై, 24న తూర్పుగోదావరి జిల్లా రాజవొమ్మంగి పోలీస్ స్టేషన్పై దాడి చేశారు. ఈ 3 స్టేషన్లపై దాడి తర్వాత భారీగా ఆయుధాలను సేకరించుకొని విప్లవం ప్రారంభించారు. ఇక అక్కడ నుంచి వరుసపెట్టి పోలీస్ స్టేషన్లపై దాడి చేస్తూ బ్రిటిష్ అధికారుల గుండెల్లో రైళ్లు పరిగెత్తించారు అల్లూరి. ఈ విప్లవాన్ని ఎలాగైనా అణిచేయాలని నిర్ణయించుకున్న బ్రిటిష్ ప్రభుత్వం మన్యంలో ముమ్మర చర్యలు చేపట్టి చాలామంది రాజు అనుచరులను చంపేసింది. బ్రిటిష్ ప్రభుత్వం మన్యం ప్రజలను కాల్చుకు తినడం మొదలుపెట్టింది. ప్రభుత్వం ప్రజలను పెడుతున్న కష్టాలను చూడలేని రాజు ప్రాణత్యాగానికి సిద్ధపడ్డారు. 1924 మే 7న విశాఖపట్నం జిల్లా మంప గ్రామానికి సమీపాన రాజు స్వయంగా లొంగిపోయారు. సీతారామరాజుపై పగతో రగిలిపోతున్న బ్రిటిష్ అధికారులు ఆయన్ని చింత చెట్టుకు కట్టి కాల్చి చంపారు. మే 8న రాజు అనుచరులు ఆయన భౌతిక కాయాన్ని కృష్ణదేవిపేటకు తీసుకువచ్చి తాండవ నది పక్కన దహన క్రియలు జరిపారు.